Hey everybody, welcome to Making the Game from Concept to Kickstarter. I'm your host, Reese. And in this podcast, we talk about the process of making our Frontline Gaming's first board game, Blood Throne, from the ideas, design phase, crowdfunding, finishing with the design phase, production, distribution, fulfillment, and beyond. So this is episode 20 of the podcast. I'm very excited for this one. I've got some really good news. I've been waiting for this. And just to give you kind of an outline in the first portion of this podcast, I'm just going to give you the nuts and bolts, where we're at, timelines, address some of the issues like tariffs and all the stuff that people have been asking me about. And then after that, I'm going to do a deep dive into talking about like some of the delays we had. I'm going to show you the books. I'll show you like the back end, like how we're designing the cards and all this sort of fun stuff. So for those of you who really want to learn more about the process and see more of the game, I'll do that. But first, I'm just going to give you the basic information for those of you that want to just understand where the process is at. So, big news. We are in the process right now of uploading all of the deliverables for the core box and the Gorgontas expansion to the factory. So that's big, right? Like that's mission accomplished. I'm really, really excited for that. And the Tome of Adventure, which is the hero expansion, that will be getting finished. It ended up being bigger. I'll dive into that too. It's going to be awesome. But that ended up being a bigger project. It's basically done. All the miniatures and the tokens and everything are designed. I just need to go in and finish editing the book and then have the format done for that. So that will be right behind the core box, and the Gorgontas expansion, the hero expansion will be right behind that. So what does this mean for where we are right now? Besides like, yeah, we did it. And thank you so much for being patient. I really, really appreciate it. So right now we're uploading everything to the factory. The miniatures are all done, all that sort of stuff. Like we're just in the print process, which that ended up being dramatically more complicated and time consuming than I thought because of my lack of experience. I'll go into that in the second part of the podcast. From here, the factory is going to be in what's called the pre-production phase. This can take up to 6 weeks. It doesn't mean it will take that long. It means it could take that long. So what they're doing at this phase is they're making sure everything is print ready. It's in the right, file format, color format, all this sort of stuff. The resolution is correct. The printing aspect of it is actually quite complex if you're not familiar with it. And then they're going to make sure everything fits in the box. It's actually way more complicated than you might think it is. It's one of those things you kind of take for granted. You look at a board game, you're like, oh, wow, how'd they fit all that in there? That's crazy. But then that's about the most any of us think about it. That part's actually quite complex. And then from there, they make the organizer trays that fit in that game of Tetris, and it holds the miniatures and things of this nature and the tokens and all this sort of stuff. So that process is quite complex. And they couldn't do it until we gave them everything that they needed. So that's the next step. From there, we'll go into production. We're not doing a huge production run for the first one. It's basically going to be, I'm hoping it all fits in one cargo container, one 40 or 50 footer. We don't know yet because we don't have the exact dimensions of the box. I'm hoping it does because that would make things really way easier. But the run won't take forever because it's not a huge run. Right. Hopefully in the future, that's a concern that we have is how long it'll take to make them because there's so many orders. But the production will be a few weeks. From there, goes into a container, gets trucked to the dock, China, across the ocean, hits Long Beach or LA, most likely maybe Oakland, and then from there it's to us in Vegas in our warehouse. And I mean our warehouse. It's not. Like we are going to fulfill it ourselves. We have a big warehouse in Las Vegas, and we fulfill a large number of packages already. So on a daily basis. So for us to fulfill it to you, the customer, that'll be a couple days at the most to ship them all out. So from factory to our warehouse, it'll probably be a couple weeks, depending on how busy they are at the port. Which right now with all the tariff stuff, probably will go pretty quick. So I don't think that'll take that long. So anyway, long story short, we're coming really, really close to putting the product in your hands. I'm thinking by the end of the summer. I think realistically, by the end of the summer, I think August. I think makes the most sense. like if we're absolutely screaming, it'll be the end of July, but I think August is realistic. So there we are. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I know I'm late, and I'll dive into some of the reasons why. But again, like I said, it's predominantly just because we've been increasing the quality. And then in regards to the tariff thing, I know a lot of people have been asking about that. So first of all, I think a lot of people may not understand how the tariffs work. The tariff is not on MSRP, it's on the manufacturing cost. It's the cost that we pay per unit. So that's obviously a smaller number. And there's always been tariffs in place. We've been doing business in China for almost 15 years, like 13 or 14 years. We have people that we've long relations. I've been over there. I've been to Beijing and Guangzhou. So this is all stuff that we're used to. During the first Trump administration, the tariffs went up to 20%. It sucked. Right now they're at 30. So it's not like, again, when you're doing 30% of the manufacturing cost, it's like, it still sucks. It still eats into the margin. It's not the end of the world right now. Like, hate it. I wish it wasn't there, but don't, as long as things don't dramatically change from where they're at, don't be concerned. We're going to eat the increased cost because we're late. It's not your guys' fault. Thank you for your patience. We really appreciate it. The only way that situation could change is if they go back up to like 150% or some crazy thing that when they were fighting, the two governments were fighting with each other about it. Then, we'll cross that bridge if we come to it. I don't think we will. I hope not. But for now, don't worry. We're not going to change the price. You all have been super patient. We appreciate it. So don't sweat it unless something dramatic happens. So that's the in a nutshell. Again, I know I've said it like 10 times. I'll probably say it 20 more on this podcast. Really appreciate the patience. Really appreciate you all believing in us, helping us get this over the finish line, making this dream come true. We're completely committed to the future. I so badly wish I could show you the miniatures for the next expansion because they're so sick. They're so good. I'm really, really, really pleased. Like our sculpting partners at Creature Caster just crushed it. So the models for the next expansion are already done. Like they've actually been done for a while. And I really want to show them to you, but I don't want to like make it seem like I'm getting ahead of myself. It's like, let's just focus on getting this done, getting the game out there. So yeah, we're really excited about that. Really committed to the future of the game. I'm really looking forward to getting feedback from everybody, like on things that we can improve. Want this to be an iterative process. Want this to have a lot of communication back and forth. So, from a design perspective, mission accomplished. Core box on the way. Tome of Adventure, which is the only outstanding item, I'm working on it every day, and that'll be long before this is out of pre-production. That will be done and over to the factory. So I'm not saying completely like, oh yeah, mission accomplished in totality, but the hardest part over and done with, and like we're just about ready to get this baby physically made, which I can't wait for everybody to hold that in your hands. Okay, so the good news aside, let's go ahead and dive in. And I want to show you some of the books. I'm really, really proud of how they came out. They look extremely professional. They came out way better than I had even hoped they would. Because like I said, I've never made a book. I've been a professional writer for decades at this point. And so I'm really familiar with the process of like writing, but not the like, page layout, typeset, all this stuff. Like that was all new to me, especially with a book that has so many graphics and like we had to design all these, how do you move a miniature? What does it mean to be in the rear arc of something? All this sort of stuff. And I just thought it would be easier than it was, right? Like I took a ton of time to research the miniature making process. At Frontline Gaming, our company, we're really focused on tabletop gaming, miniatures games specifically. So I've always been really, really interested in that. And I love board games. And I just, for whatever reason, I just assumed that all the little like tokens and the cards, I didn't think they would be that hard to make. And boy, was I wrong. That was what took so long. It wasn't just like figuring out how to design them, which was really a challenge unto itself. But then it was like, oh, okay, designing them. And then we're like, oh man, we can make these better. And then like, oh, we can make it. Oh, what if we did it? Oh, what if this? So I really learned a lot from that point of view on the process of making the games, like how do you not put the cart in front of the horse? Like, what is the correct order to do things in? Because even though I had everything done, like I had all the cards, like the text that would be on the cards, and like we'd play tested them, and the mechanics, the rules part of it. I was like, oh, okay, that's the hardest part, which it is. And then I just was like, oh yeah, now like I'll just hand it to a graphic artist and just bang it out. And it was absolutely not the way it went. So, you know, we learned a lot on that perspective. And in a little bit here, I'll show you like how we design the cards. Because some of you may have some insights on how to do things in a faster way. The people I work with are all pros. The graphic artist has never made a game before, but he's got many years of experience. And then one of the best things too, like one of the things that was an absolute godsend is the gentleman that's doing the layouts for the books. His name's Mark. He's, you know, almost 30 years experience in the industry. For those of you who are familiar with Games Workshop products, he designed some of the Forge World books, which for those of you who know what I'm talking about, they're freaking amazing. Like they're really, really beautiful, beautiful books. And he was massively helpful in guiding me through the process. And like I literally paid him consultancy sessions of just like, it's like, well, I have this doc that has all the words that need to go in the book. And then I've got the art from the studio. And I know the diagrams that I think I need, but then that's it. And it was like, it's the joke I always tell the guys at work is like, we have an idea that you think will be good for business or whatever. It's like the underwear gnomes from South Park. It's like step 1, steal the underwear. Step 2, blank. Step 3, profit. It's like that step two is pretty important. And that was the part that we were, that's the part that I didn't understand in this whole process was like, I had all the information for the cards and the tokens, and I knew, you know, what I wanted them to say, and like the end result. But it was that getting there in the middle that was really, really challenging. Like we worked on the stupid cards for literally months and months and months. We had to redesign them all multiple times. That was the longest part of the process, and then the layouts for the books took way longer than I thought as well. And again, it was kind of like I didn't know what I didn't know, you know. So, but now having gone through this process, like for the future, it'll be dramatically quicker, better. You know, now like I know how to send a manuscript formatted in the correct way for the layout professional to take the art, the manuscript, and whack it out into a book. And there was the other part of it too, is like I didn't understand like how long is each section supposed to be? What's the word count? Like, okay, if we're doing a character profile, like how many words can you fit with art? Like all this sort of stuff. So I had to rewrite everything multiple times. Like, and it wasn't because of a quality issue. It was because it physically wouldn't work in the book. And then it was, and I'll show you, I'll show you an example, and forgive me. I hope this works because I'm not done lots of podcasts, but I haven't been on this end of it. Give me 1 second. Okay, so hopefully this works. I'm going to try and show you my screen. And okay, this should be working. So this is the rule book, and then just really quickly to give you a sense of this thing's a beast. That's the back cover. So yeah, 144 pages. It's huge. It ended up being way bigger than I thought it would be. And again, it's because I had everything written. I just didn't understand. Like, I didn't, because of a lack of experience, I didn't know like how much space it would take up with graphics and everything else. Here's all the staff. Still missing one person's picture, but I'll get that today. That's the last thing on this. You know, and like how it's like, okay, what, like, how many pages do you need for the setup and the intro, and like, what is this, blah, blah, blah. The Layout Pro really, really, really helped us with that. This is some of the awesome art we got from the Studio Sonderflex. This was really fun to write. I wrote it like 10 times before I felt like it was good. This is the lore section of the book. I've shown off some of these pages before. For a board game, we put quite a bit of lore into the core rulebook. For the Tome of Adventure and the Hero expansion, the lore section alone is 60,000 words. It's 120 pages of if it was just text. So it's gnarly, but like we really went deep on it. So, and then the lore section in the book, that just gives you enough to understand the world and why is the events in the game happening. This gives you a little bit more background. We go into some bios on the heroes. I don't want to spoil anything really. Go into the rules section, and this is the part where I felt the most, comfortable, because I have a lot of background in writing rules that have been used by tons of people in tabletop gaming. So I felt pretty confident in this. I feel like I really, my goal is to be as clear as I possibly could. I'm sure there's going to be things I missed, but I really worked hard on trying to make the rules clear. I used tons of examples, like, see, you'll see like little text like this, little cutouts, breakout sections like this, to give examples on like, okay, here's the rule and here's what we mean, which I've always found really helpful. Making all these like diagrams was challenging, and then again, the layout professional was able to help me do that because I didn't know how to. We used some of the card art in the book to fill up space, because this was one of the things that like I didn't understand is like you'll put an image and then text on a page, and then the layout guy was like, "Oh, we've got like blank space on some of these pages," and he's like, "Can you write some like fluff text or like, can we use some of the art?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just use the card art that we had done." So tons of examples in here to try and make it as clear as possible. And then of course online will be quick to answer any questions anybody has. So I'm really excited really pleased with how it came out. I think it's very, very professional. These are the rules for using monsters, especially the very big monsters, which actually, you know what? I don't know if I've showed these off here. So I don't know if I've had a chance to like show these side by side for scale, because when we've had a chance to go show the game in real life, people have been blown away by the models, especially like some of the bigger ones. So this is Kechiwayo. He's the monk from the hero expansion, human, so human size. We've got little guys like goblin slingers. So, sorry. And then we have like a character like Ajax. He's a Titanborn. So he's got like the blood of heroes in his veins. He's bigger. So as you can kind of see. And then we start getting up into the monsters. Like this is the bear you summon. Like he's big. He's a big model. This is the Witness of Malefica. He's a high level arcane monster. Big old chonky guy. Here's the big bad guy. This is Belphegor. It's freaking sick model. I mean, he's huge. Like I think when people get the game and they open it up, they're going to be like, "Holy shit!" Excuse my language, but I think people are going to be blown away because these are the actual production models too. These aren't like resin masters. This is what comes out of the box. Then you got Big Dog. Let's see, a Big Dog here. I mean, he's gigantic. Can't even get him in the frame. And this is Gorgontus. And this is why he had to be in his own box, because he was too big to fit. And we didn't want to shrink him because we're like, dude, it's too badass. His base takes up 9 squares. So anyway, a bit of an aside, but I don't know if I'd had a chance to show those in scale. The models are freaking amazing. Okay, so then I'm going to go back to the book. So yeah, that's just the rule section. I tried to be really thorough, so it's probably longer than most. Because I wanted to really try my best to make it as clear as possible. And I'm going to start making videos showing like all the different segments. Like, here's how you move. Here's how you, perform an action, et cetera, and put that on the YouTube channel. This is the strategic game rules. This is for like building your base and managing so the tactical rules are for when you're playing the game, when you have miniatures on the table and you're moving around and you're fighting monsters or other heroes. This is the strategic level game is what occurs outside of that. So this is like managing your team of heroes, building your base, upgrading your equipment and all this sort of stuff. This section is actually relatively brief. Like, which is nice because I didn't want to throw a ton of rules at people. But it's relatively short, covers everything. And one of our big strategies for Bloodthrone is that the strategic portion of the game will change. We have some really, really cool ideas. So the tactical portion of the game will largely stay the same. Obviously, we'll update the rules with feedback. But the strategic, sort of the meta, the bigger game will change. We have one where for the next expansion, I'll give you a little teaser. It's nautical themed, and you'll have ships that you upgrade and get new crew and upgrade their cannons and you sail around. And I don't want to give away too much. It's going to be really, really, really cool though. And in this one, obviously, you build up a base camp, you build new buildings, and you're trying to assault Belfegor in the Tower of Sacrifice. So this was another part that added quite a bit of time, but I think made the quality dramatically better, is we added these 3-dimensional isometric maps, and they're all rendered with 3D models. That took quite a while, but I think it's just so much nicer looking, and it makes it easier to place the terrain so that it's not like these top-down, which is what we were initially going to do. They're perfectly serviceable, but this just looks way better, right? So in my opinion, I think it was worth the extra time, energy, and effort and money that it took to do this. And now that we have all these digital assets, we can use them again. It's really easy. And as you can see, there's a ton of variety. A lot of games, similar games, there's only a couple pieces of terrain. We have a ton of terrain. And look how dense it is in some of these cases. It's really fun. It's 3-dimensional. Your models can go up on these bridges. They can get knocked off. That was a big deal to me, is that if you're going to play the game through, you want a lot of variety, right? You don't want to feel like you're just doing the same thing over and over again, which is lame. That's why we have so much more terrain in the box than we even really honestly needed. We also use these terrain tiles. These are 2D. This is kind of more common to what you see in most games, like in a Gloomhaven, for example. But these are meant to represent when you're in an interior setting. So some of the maps are supposed to be you're going into a dungeon or in the sewers of the city. So we use some of these 2D tiles. And then the game surface, the playboard, is double-sided. So one side's exterior, one side's interior. And again, I wanted to provide variety so you don't feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. And here's another interior mission. And then just for context, imagine that these are like a wall, right? This is floor to ceiling, blocking line of sight, and you can't move through it. There's more. Don't want to give away too much, but yeah, some of these are, you're in a little city. It's super fun. Oh yeah, this art is amazing. This art has crushed it. That's Belfegor. Really, really good. Very, very grimdark. That dude's not having a good day. So yeah, I don't need to go through all of it, but I just wanted to show this off. Tons and tons of missions. Every single one of these has been tested multiple times. And then you can see the tiles are double-sided. So when they're an exterior mission, they're a water feature, which they don't block line of sight, but you can't move through them. And we did that, again, we did that just so that there's variety, so you don't feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, really, really, really happy with how it came out. Tons of variety, tons of mission variety. Like in this one, for example, the monsters keep respawning and they come out of the spawn points. And in this mission, super fun. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but you just have to make it. You just have to make it to the end of the game. It's like Zerg Rush, just nonstop. Really, really fun. This one, you go in and free captives so that they don't get their blood drained out. These horrible sacrifices for Belfegor. Yeah, really, really, really pleased with it. And then all this pink text. This isn't the final draft. This is all in the final draft. This is all done. But this just gives you, at a glance, at the back of the book, so it's easy to find it. Definitions for all the keywords and everything like that. So that's the rule book. This is the campaign journal. This is what you use to keep track of everything while you're playing the game. Bloodthrone has a lot of moving parts, so we wanted to make sure to make it as easy as possible to track everything as you're playing the game, because you've got 12 different heroes. They're leveling up. You have different options. The missions have multiple objectives in them. So the first part is just explaining to you, okay, how do I use this? And the reason why this is black and white is that you write in this book, right? You just use a pen or a pencil if you want to erase it. And then you go through these. It's like, oh, okay, what's my main objective? Okay, I need to secure at least 2 of the chests and defeat all the monsters. Okay, this shows you where the monsters go. We use a code, and then it shows you the color or the image with the code. Shows you where the objectives are, and then you check them off. For each objective I got, we have 18 party experience and 1 supply. Supply is a resource. So you check them off. So, okay, I checked 2, defeated all monsters. We won the mission. Here it shows you the initiative order the monsters go in to make it easy for setup. And then you can track their HP here. Although in practice, what normally happens is people just use the HP tokens on the table next to the monsters. People don't actually use this very much, but we included it just in case people wanted to do this because if they didn't want 1 million tokens. And then it has a worksheet to figure out how much experience you get. Scenario aftermath. This tells you, like, oh, okay, after you finish this scenario, add these scenarios to the map. And that's the big campaign map. And you put stickers on the map to show a new mission, and then you put there's another little sticker that goes next to it that says you've attempted that mission. So then again, this took forever to edit. Because even though, like, in my head, I was like, oh yeah, this all makes perfect sense. I handed it to the layout guy, and he's like, this is a lot of information, dude. Like, it is. So this took way longer than I thought. And like editing this thing, I have to go in and check every little data point. And it was very, very fastidious process. And like we had to go back and forth multiple times to get it right. So I don't give away too much there. Yeah, this one. So bear with me, I'm sorry. Yep, okay. This is the Gorgontas missions, that's the end. And then we give you the hero sheets. So we'll have these as blank PDFs online, so you can make your own heroes. But what this does is that it gives you all the starting stats of your heroes. The level 1 feats are already selected when you're making your own heroes. There's a bunch of level 1 feats you get to pick from. And then as you go through it, like, check off one of these. Oh, okay, level 2, I get to pick one of these. I can either make him more accurate or harder to hit. Oh, I'm going to make him harder to hit. And then you go over to the worksheet section of it. You go, okay, evasion. I write in, okay, I took shield data +1, and then make this an 8 instead of a 7. So this keeps track of everything for your hero. And then the hero board, which are the colorful, much smaller and compact pieces that you use while you're playing the game, those you have tokens that you can put to reflect the changes that are on this. So this is the permanent record. And then the hero board is what you use when you're playing the game. It's only the information you need to play the game. It's much, much, much easier to navigate, and it looks nicer. There's a lot of data on these. But getting designing this to fit on one page took so many iterations. And this is what I mean when I was like, I didn't really understand how complex this part of it was going to be because I didn't have experience with it. In the future, I'm going to start with this part. Like, okay, I know everything I want to do. How do I make it fit on one page, right? Instead of doing it the other way around. This is the Butcher of Ruin, one of the monsters in the game. This artist is so flippin' talented. He did some work for Baldur's Gate 3. A lot of work for Baldur's Gate 3, actually. Really, he's super duper good. I wish we could have gotten more art from him, honestly, but he's a very busy guy. This is the icon reference at the back of this book. And the reason why we have this and the keyword definition in 2 different locations is when you're new, you're going to be referencing this a lot. So we wanted it so that you could have both of them open at the same time. So it's like, oh, okay, I have the keywords open, and then I have the icon reference open. And then these aren't the full rules for them. It's just kind of at a glance. And that way it'll make it really easy to get used to it. Once you play the game a few times, you don't have to look at this anymore. You get used to it. But this kind of gives you like at a glance, like, oh, okay. Because there's a lot of icons and symbols in the game. You have them for all the classes and etc. There's a blank character hero sheet, so that if you want, you can make your own hero. just kind of goof around and experiment. And then we have a blank scenario sheet. So obviously these will be available online, or you can just photocopy it or whatever and make your own scenarios if you want to do that. This is the EXP log for each of the heroes. Keep it all in one place, make it easy. That's it. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and jump into the quick play guide. This actually took way, way longer than I thought it would, even though it's not very long. We had to make a lot of visual assets because this is like, imagine if you're playing a video game, this is the tutorial to the video game. Also, like, yeah, check this out. This helps give some idea of scope. Like, this is like all the little doodads and stuff. You know, there's 111 class skill cards, 12 feat cards, 12 heritage cards, 27 general skill cards, 20 random event cards, 33 minute, blah, blah, blah. Each one of these things took so much longer to design than I thought it would. And but the game's a beast. When people open it up, I think they're going to be blown away. Like, hundreds of tokens, hundreds of cards, awesome minis, really high quality books. The components page is a full 2-page spread. You get the measuring widgets, the terrain tiles, the sticker sheet, the map, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was a lot. And then we just kind of walk you through, how to use everything. Obviously, it's really important. There's how to use the monster cards. I was probably more thorough than I needed to be, but I didn't want anybody to open the game and just be like, what the hell, how do I use this? This is how to use the campaign management board, which tracks all the data for the overall campaign. Hero sheets. This walks you through like setting up your hero. So it's like, here's this tuck box, here's the cards, here's this tokens. You put all these in the tuck box. Here's this hero board. This is what you use when you're playing the game. Here's this miniature. This is all the stuff that goes for that hero. And then it just kind of walks you through setting that up. It walks you through the first scenario. And it really again, like I said, if this was a video game, this would be the tutorial. It's like, yeah, this is, we recommend that you consider using this ability and this sort of stuff. Just because we don't want it to be too overwhelming. And you only start with 3 heroes and there's only 5 monsters. And then the next scenario, and then it walks you through everything. Like, this is all the things you should do. This is the initiative order. This is how this works. I think it's really important for players to go through this process, not to skip it. Because it'll make getting, up to speed with the game really easy. And then it goes, okay, now we'll set up the strategic level of the game. And this is how this works. You got a supply, you put it here, this kind of deal. And then the second part of the scenario, you play with a full party and you play against, how many? I think there's 8 monsters in this one. And this one is considerably more challenging. The first one's like, you'd have to be like extraordinary unlucky to not breeze through the first one. This one's actually quite a bit more challenging. And you have to go save Commander Kadan, who's the leader of the forces of the Last Accord. So yeah, that takes you through that. It just walks you through everything. And I'm really, really pleased with the quality. I'm really happy with how it all looks. And let me see, I'll show you the last thing we're working on right now. I won't go through everything, but I'll just show you what the last thing that we're getting done right now. So this is a program called Figma. It's like a graphic design program where multiple people can work at the same time. So the graphic artist and I both are in here working on these at the exact same time. Once you upload all the assets into it, it gets pretty easy because as you can see, it's still a pain in the ass, but it makes it infinitely easier to do. Like all the little icons, because wherever we use a rules term, we tend to use an icon as well. And they have to make sure that those are all correct, make sure that these are all correct. But as you can see, they're all done. I'm just going through, oh shoot, the artist is in there right now. I'm just going through and making sure there's no errors, right? And then we'll be uploading these to the factory tonight or tomorrow morning. This is the last thing. These are all the monsters, minus the 2 big guys. So yeah, really, really excited for that. Got all the cards done finally. That took forever. And then kind of on a personal note as well, the graphic artist had not one but two deaths in his family. That kind of took him away for a while. And again, I didn't bring it up during the process because I didn't want it to seem like we were making excuses or trying to, I didn't want it to come across the wrong way. And I was actually out of town or out of the country for about 3 months total. Like my wife and I had our wedding in Oaxaca, Mexico, which was awesome, but we both had big families. And so that was like, was to do. My wife did the majority of the work. The wedding was amazing. She did a great job, but that was a big deal. Took a lot of time. And I have really, really exciting news on a personal level too, is we're expecting our first baby in October. So super excited. And the IVF route ended up being the way things that we did, and it took 2 rounds. But we got what seems to be a healthy baby boy coming in October. Really, really, really excited. And I bring that up only because I was surprised. Like, I'm pretty open about it. When I started talking to some of my friends, I was surprised how many of my friends had gone through the same process. And the reason I bring it up is, for one, it's very, very time consuming. It's very demanding on the guy. It's pretty easy for the guy, to be honest, but supporting my wife, she's having to take all these shots, and it's like a 2-week process every time, and then different rounds, and then getting pregnant, and then of course all the stuff going to the doctor for the baby and all that sort of thing. The reason I bring it up though is because if anybody out there listening to this is considering it, we did it in Monterrey, Mexico. The clinic we went to was freaking amazing. It's beautiful, super duper professional, awesome staff, and it's like a third of the price than it is in the United States. So if that's something that pertains to anybody and they'd like to learn more about it, shoot me a PM and I'll give you more information. So yeah, I had a lot of really exciting stuff, but it did take up quite a bit of time. Again, not making any excuses, but there was things that came up that I was gone for like weeks at a time. But all good stuff for me personally, for our main artist who did all the cards, the tokens, the icons, all that sort of stuff. This is kind of a bummer, but that is the way life goes sometimes. Okay, and I'll show one more. I think it's kind of fun. So here's the cards. And we designed them obviously for each class. They're color coordinated. So all the stuff, this is the barbarian up here. For all their cards, they're going to be this red color. They're going to have the icon. All their tokens have the same icon. So the merchant, once you build the blacksmith or the merchant, you can buy these. These are all disposable items you use during the course of the game, like healing potions, things of this nature. These are the heritage cards. These are like your racial ability. And general skills. This isn't all of them. Oh yeah, it is. I'm sorry. There's multiples of each of these. So these are just like, everybody gets one general skill in their deck. These are available to everybody. So this really lets you spice it up and customize your heroes by giving them, a different boost. These are all the treasure cards, quest cards. These are legendary items. Each class has access to one legendary item. And these are the random event deck. You'll learn to hate this in the beginning of the game. So I thought that would be kind of fun just to show that that process. Because yeah, like I said, like we redesigned those so many times. And that was a big part of the reason why it took so long. I was like losing my mind working on the stupid cards. But compare those to where we started, they look so much better and they're so much easier to read. Visually, they just look so much more exciting. I think that the extra time that we put into it was definitely worth it. And I thought this might be kind of fun too. Like, so these are the AI flowcharts for the monsters. Like, this is a lot of the way it works. Is like, for example, let's see if I can put one. Like, I design them in a tool that I know how to use, and then I hand them to the graphic artist, and he makes them look nice in Figma. And then from Figma, we have to convert it into a printable file. All this stuff takes forever. It's kind of fun to go through this. Let me see if I can. And like this is just a sheet that we use for keeping track of all the actionables and everything that's in the core box. And it's like, this is the way the data looks for the cards when I'm creating it myself. And then we have all these codes and everything that we put in here. They're like, oh, put an image here, blah, blah, blah. Keeping track of everything. How many do we need? Blah, blah. Does it need a token associated with it? Keeping track of all this stuff was a job unto itself. It was really challenging. This is the expansion. But it's kind of fun to share this. This is the way I work on it. And then, yeah, it just keeps going and going and going and going. It's, it's like, oh, okay, oh, let's keep track of all the cards because going forward, this is going to be important, right? And it's like, just keeps going. Here's the tokens, and it's like this. I'm going to completely do this over again because now that we've actually made the tokens and we had to redo all of them because we tried to put too much information on them and it wouldn't print. So we had to go through and redesign all of them. So now I'm going to go and change this, and then it's just like keeping track of like how many tokens. Okay, from there, how do we put them all onto the cut sheet? And like, this was so much more complicated than I gave it credit for. It really, really was. Like the miniatures, I feel like, even though I thought that was gonna be the hardest part, slam dunked it. And that's because we worked with some really experienced professionals. But all this stuff, like the components of the game, I dramatically underestimated how much time that was gonna take. So anyway, if anybody has any questions, let me know. I'm happy to kind of dive into any more of this stuff. I think it's fun. You might find it interesting yourself. And thank you so much for your patience. Hopefully, if you just wanted the beginning part, you got that. Hopefully this part wasn't too much stream of consciousness or rambling. It's just, I feel like a massive weight is like coming off of my shoulders to just finally get this thing over the finish line. So yeah, hit me up with any questions. Thank you for your patience, and I can't wait for you all to get your hands on the game.